Hey everyone. So for my senior project, I wrote a play, as Sean explained, and I would like to read two excerpts of that play for everyone here. Lights rise. Two co-chairs sit upstage right, and five negotiators downstage left in a semicircle, all facing the two co-chairs. Co-chair begins. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the afternoon session. We are now in the home stretch. It has been a long way, and our 13 meetings over the past year have brought us here. So let us continue with Goal 18, which is up on the screen for convenience. Sustainable Development Goal 18, achieve universal human happiness and well-being. Target 18.1, by 2030, all of humanity has recognized the importance of intercultural understanding in sustainable development. Understanding that body language, visual cultures, and other forms of nonverbal communication are an essential aspect of human understanding and empathy. Target 18.2. By 2020, all countries have created programs and mechanisms for humans to achieve a state of well-being, including, but not limited to, through creative expression, reaffirmation and exploration of cultural identity, and exploration of their inner selves. And I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to jump to another part of the play with the help of two of my classmates and friends. Lights up. Bird 1 and bird 2 are on a wire. One of them is trying to crack a seed with its beak so it can eat.
You know, the UN is meeting again this week.
Huh?
Yeah, I was in by their building with Gertrude and the kids. They're talking about this thing, they call it ABS.
As in absolute bullshit?
No.
Isn't that what they always talk about?
No.
Bird 2 keeps cracking the seed.
It has to do with who can use the lives of non-human beings for their purposes.
The seed begins to crack.
If the humans who access things get any benefit for this, like money, they talk about who should benefit, or who would,
How
how
the
they
seed
would
cracks. The
share
seed cracks.
things.
Yeah.
Some countries who have more resources to, access what they want.
Right.
Bird 2 begins to bring the seed closer to its mouth as bird 1 watches the seed move.
The fact that some things are hard to crack shouldn't mean that some countries have to go hungry.
Bird 2 eats the seed.
Well, survival of the fittest.
You've been reading that bearded guy again, haven't you? The one who spent time on the Galapagos?
Birds 1 and 2 fly away. Thank you. Now, it may seem that this is a play about the environment because there's birds in it, but it's not. And this is a print that I made. It's a linoleum, it's a lino cut that I made which I'm going to use to illustrate the structure of the play for you. The play begins here at the center, where we have the very traditional language used in the negotiations, at the conferences, and the speeches given by the people opening the conferences. And where's the map? There we go. And as the play progresses, we slowly begin to move outside of the circle. And you will notice that the speech bubbles inside of the laurels are very similar, and they all take part in larger conversations, some of them go in circles. But as we exit the laurels, we see many different voices that are not allowed in the negotiations and that are not recognized in this process. And these voices may be of other humans, but they may be also of non-human beings. So the first excerpt that I read was near the center. It's from the second scene of the play. And the last excerpt that we read was from towards the second to last scene of the play, which is over here. My mouse goes away. There we go, over here. Now, this play was born out of several different experiences I've had at COA. One of them is my participation in 4 different United Nations conferences and all the preparation that goes into that in environmental law classes, anthropology, and environmental science classes. Another one was an internship that I did at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations as a graphic designer and civil society liaison. I spent 4 months there. And all along this process of attending these conferences and studying policy and thinking about how the United Nations functions in relation to the environment, I was also taking a lot of art classes, graphic design, theater, animation, drawing. And what I had been trying to do through my time here at COA was use all of the different forms of perceiving the world and representing the world to try to think about the United Nations. So I had done an infographic, brochures, a podcast, and all of them were ways to try to see what was going on at the conferences through a new lens. This is a photograph at my first conference where they had these plastic plates. So in essence, after I had worked through all of these different visual and audiovisual forms of working, I decided to work in theater. And the reason I did that is very related to what I ultimately learned. From the constellation of things I learned, I picked 3 that I wanted to share with you because they felt particularly relevant. One of them is that theater generates visceral reactions in an audience, and that those visceral reactions allow for new ways of thinking and seeing the world, which is very related to the work we try to do here at the college. I had a friend who had been to these conferences, and he actually mentioned that he had experienced he used the words visceral reactions to explain how he felt during the play, and that I think is going to carry with him as he returns back to the conferences. The second one relates to performance and politics, and how I realized that at these summits and at these conferences, countries perform their sovereignty, perform their statehood to each other. And it's interesting how many terms are actually used from performance art. People talk about setting the stage for the negotiations, or having political actors. And that, I had begun to notice that trend, but seeing intentionally bringing both of them together helped me see that performance can yield new light into politics. And essentially because I agree with the notion that all art is inherently political. Finally, that theater can help us reach a very particular type of common ground. And that is because this is not the common ground where everyone feels and thinks exactly the same way, but that we have a common experience watching a performance, and that common experience and the way we respond to that common experience is a really great place to begin a conversation. Which is amazing because I realized that that's also the goal of the United Nations. And that was a great connection for me to make. So to wrap up this project, I just want to say a big thank you mainly to Jody Baker, who was my project director. She was a key driver, and I couldn't have achieved this without her constant support and help and encouraging, because the project is quite bizarre when you first hear about it, or at least it seemed to me. But also to Colin Capers and Andrea Lepshu, who helped me through the process, and Karen Waldron, who has been instrumental as well in my time here at COA. Also my amazing and loving friends and housemates and classmates, and the larger COA community. Thank you very much.